Welcome to the Evidence Locker, where we open the files of the darkest crimes. So sit back, take a bite of cake, sip your tea and join me tonight. Because tonight, we revisit the horrifying case of Issei Sagawa, the Japanese cannibal. Issei Sagawa was an infamous serial killer. He could be seen as a monster in human form. He was the most terrifying figure from the land of the rising sun, driven by a dark craving to taste human flesh. As a child, he once acted on this urge with his own cousin. He savored the horrifying taste of her flesh. Later, he would target a young woman from the Netherlands, as beautiful as a movie star, whom he secretly admired. After his crime, the name Sagawa became a nightmare, a source of terror not only in Japan, but throughout the world. Even after more than 40 years, Issei Sagawa, the strange heir of a wealthy Japanese family, not only escaped punishment, but also lived years of freedom, gaining fame and fortune through appearances in media and newspapers, many of them about his own crimes. The making of this demon began long before. Issei Sagawa was born on April 26, 1949, in Hyōgo Ward, Kobe, Japan. His father was a prominent Japanese businessman. He was a premature and frail baby. Reports said he was so tiny that he could fit into the palm of his father's hand. Immediately, he suffered from enteritis, a disease of the small intestine. He eventually recovered after numerous injections of potassium and calcium. His weak health and introverted nature led him to develop a love for literature. Sagawa's obsession with flesh began early. When he was a child, he felt insecure about himself. He longed for a stronger and bigger body. Yet even after growing up, he never achieved it. Even after puberty, he remained frail and thin. He stood at only about 150 centimeters for 0.9 feet. This made him frustrated and insecure, even leading to depression. As a child, his father and uncle often pretended to be giants, chasing and eating him, which haunted Sagawa. He became obsessed with stories of cannibalism. From childhood, Sagawa showed unusual behaviors and a deeply unstable psychology. He once described himself as weak, ugly, and small. Because of this, he always wished to absorb the vitality of strong, beautiful women. Sagawa tried to suppress his inner urges, but the craving stayed with him. He carried it into his university years. Later, in an interview, Sagawa admitted that his desire for human flesh had begun in elementary school. It grew stronger after he saw the American actress Grace Kelly on the screen. With her tall, blonde, and striking beauty, Grace Kelly became the ideal image of a girlfriend he longed for. She was the woman he desperately wished to have. Though weak and small, Sagawa was intelligent and academically excellent. He had outstanding grades and sharp intelligence. Sagawa was quiet, reserved, and very shy. He avoided crowds and kept to himself. Yet in his mind, disturbing thoughts grew stronger. He often imagined that one day, he would kill and eat the woman he loved. Sagawa tried hard to suppress this desire. He kept it hidden deep inside, but it followed him into his university years. He chose to study German. He enrolled at Wako University in Tokyo. He showed no interest in Japanese women. For him, the ideal type was clear. He wanted tall European women. Blonde women became his image of perfection. To him, they were flawless. At least twice in his life, Issei Sagawa tried to act on his fantasies. In 1970, he attempted his first crime. His first intended victim was a German lecturer. She taught at the university where he studied. Sagawa began stalking her. He found out where she lived. He decided to break into her home. His intention was terrifying. He wanted to cut a piece of her flesh and eat it. Specifically, he planned to slice her hip. Then he would sneak away without being caught. But the woman suddenly woke up. She pushed Sagawa to the ground. He was arrested by the police for attempted assault. They accused him of attempted rape. Sagawa denied the charges, but the accusation was later dropped. His wealthy father paid the victim a large sum of money. In exchange, she withdrew her complaint at the police station. After the failed break-in, Sagawa sought psychiatric help. He went to see a psychologist for counseling. The doctor was shocked by his condition. He classified Sagawa as extremely dangerous to society. The psychologist also warned his father about this. He told him how severe the situation was. This may have influenced his father's decision. He arranged for Sagawa to study abroad. Sagawa was sent to study literature and languages. He enrolled at the Sorbonne University in Paris. It matched his personal interests. This somewhat improved his mental state, but it did not stop his dark urges. In fact, it gave him more freedom. It gave him a clearer chance to become a monster. He never forgot the failed attempt in Tokyo. The memory of that night stayed with him. He remembered the frustration. He remembered almost achieving his dark goal. He told himself that with better planning, he would succeed next time. He believed his dream of eating human flesh would come true. He was fascinated by European women. When he studied in France, Sagawa often brought prostitutes back to his apartment. Each time, he struggled with himself. He debated whether he should act on his desire. It was the dark dream he had nurtured for so long. But on those occasions, he managed to hold himself back. Instead, he fed an even bigger plan. He dreamed of eating a woman he truly loved. That dark fantasy would awaken like a demon inside him. In 1981, while studying in Paris, his obsession grew. He noticed a female classmate. She had a voluptuous figure and shining blonde hair. Her beautiful face completely enchanted him. She was Renée Hartevelt, a 25-year-old Dutch woman. She was pursuing her PhD studies in Paris. Sagawa became obsessed with her immediately. To get close, he used his father's money. He asked Renée to tutor him in German. She agreed to help him with his studies. At first, Sagawa occasionally invited her for dinner. Gradually, the two became closer. He freely spent money on her company. He took her to concerts and exhibitions. He even wrote her love letters. Renée once invited him to her apartment for tea. They even danced together in her home. The two exchanged visits and grew closer over time. Renée began to trust Sagawa completely. She believed he was a kind and reliable man. She respected him for his intelligence and knowledge. She admired his insights on art and literature. But she had no romantic feelings for him. She only saw him as a friend. Meanwhile, Sagawa was preparing for his crime. He gathered the tools he needed. The day of destiny finally arrived. Sagawa carried out the twisted plan he had long imagined. On the night of June 11, 1981, in Paris, he acted. He invited Renée to his apartment under the pretense of discussing literature. They prepared to have dinner together. Renée sat at his desk reading a German poem. Sagawa quietly approached her with a gun. He slowly raised the weapon. The cold sound of a gunshot echoed. The shot rang out in the night. Sagawa collapsed in shock at the sight before him. When he regained consciousness, he panicked. At first, he regretted what he had done. He even considered calling an ambulance. For a moment, he thought of confessing. But his twisted thoughts took over. A dark urge told him to continue. He saw this as his chance to fulfill a 32-year dream. He told himself it was time to finally try. Sagawa then committed the unthinkable. He violated Renée's corpse. He bit into her flesh immediately afterward. But his teeth were not sharp enough. So, he left the apartment and bought a butcher's knife. Sagawa cut and ate several parts of her body. He consumed most of her breasts and part of her face. He prepared different dishes from her flesh. Some of the meat he ate raw. Other parts he stored neatly in his refrigerator. While feasting, he even took photographs of himself. He kept the gruesome pictures as souvenirs. These were the horrifying details Sagawa later confessed to the police. He described everything he remembered from that night. The parts of Renée's body he did not consume. He planned to dispose of in a nearby lake. He stuffed her remains into a suitcase and called a taxi. The heavy suitcase quickly drew attention. Overwhelmed with fear, he abandoned it and fled. A couple walking nearby grew suspicious. Curiosity led them to open the suitcase. Inside, they found a horrifying sight. It was an image that scarred them for life. 4 days later, French police tracked down Sagawa. They arrested him for the brutal killing. The murderer was caught. A search of his apartment revealed a shocking scene. His refrigerator was filled with body parts. They were all identified as belonging to Renée Hartevelt. Sagawa admitted everything without hesitation. He described in detail what he had done, leading to his trial. For 2 years, his wealthy father fought for his release. He hired a famous defense lawyer. With money and influence, they built a strong case. Finally, Sagawa was declared insane. The court ruled he suffered from mental illness. He was sentenced to indefinite psychiatric care. French judge Jean-Louis declared Sagawa unfit for trial. He said Sagawa was a madman, not suitable for court. Soon after, Sagawa was deported back to Japan. He was placed in Matsuzawa Psychiatric Hospital in Tokyo. 3 psychiatrists examined him carefully. They concluded he would never be cured. They warned he needed permanent isolation. That was the professional assessment. But in 1984, his powerful father intervened. He arranged to have Sagawa transferred back to Tokyo. Meanwhile, the charges in France were dropped. The French court documents were sealed. They were never released to Japanese authorities. This meant Sagawa could not be held legally. There was no law to detain him in Japan. On August 12, 1986, he was released. He walked out of the hospital as a free man. From that day forward, Sagawa lived in freedom. This shocking outcome caused outrage in society. The public reacted with heavy criticism. They condemned the release of a man-eating monster. But Sagawa did not hide away in shame. He did not isolate himself from society. Instead, he soon became a public figure. Sagawa even became a celebrity. He showed no remorse for his crimes. Instead, he boasted about them on television. He displayed his crimes as if they were great achievements. From the late 1980s to the early 1990s, Issei Sagawa became a popular name in Japan. He published 4 books, one of them a memoir. The memoir described his gruesome crime in detail. Shockingly, the book sold more than 200,000 copies. It became disturbingly popular among the public. Sagawa was even invited to act in porn films. He appeared in several adult movies in Japan. He also painted nude portraits and artworks. He produced disturbing artistic creations. While living in Tokyo, he was frequently invited to public events. He was treated like a guest speaker. He even wrote regular columns for magazines. He worked as an editor for books about crime. He contributed to publications about brutal murders. He even wrote restaurant reviews for newspapers. He sometimes posed as a food critic. He even appeared as a cover model for a gourmet magazine. In 1992, he appeared in a controversial commercial film. The film was called *Unfaithful Wife, Shameful Torture*. It was directed by Hisayasu Sato. Sagawa played a sadistic and perverted man. He embraced the role without shame. He also gave interviews like a real celebrity. He was treated like a star on talk shows. "They call me the Cannibal Saint," he once said. "I feel happy about that title," Sagawa declared. He even went further in shocking statements. He told women who admired him that they were welcome to kill him if they wished. He said he did not want a quick death. He claimed a bullet or knife was too boring. He said he wanted to experience being killed slowly. For him, that idea was exciting. He described it as something fascinating. Sagawa even wrote this in his memoir. His writings revealed disturbing fantasies. In an interview with *Vice*, he showed no remorse. He openly said he still wanted to commit murder again. "Today, I saw a beautiful girl at the train station," he admitted. "I immediately thought of my old desire." He confessed he still longed to taste human flesh. He said he would carry this urge until death. But over time, public curiosity began to fade. His story was repeated too often. By 1997, people had grown tired of him. His fame started to disappear. He no longer had anything new to offer. Publishers began to abandon him. By 2005, his parents had both passed away. He lost the last source of support in his life. His relatives even barred him from their funerals. They forced him out of the family home. Sagawa had to live in a rundown rented apartment. It was cramped and dirty. He survived on government welfare, but his welfare payments were quickly cut off. Sagawa was left to fend for himself. He struggled to earn a living. Finding work was nearly impossible for him. His books stopped being reprinted. When he applied to teach at a Japanese-French bilingual school, he was almost accepted. The principal was impressed by his boldness in using his real name, but the teachers strongly opposed his hiring. Their protests blocked him from the job. In a 2009 magazine interview, Sagawa made a striking statement. He said being forced to make a living, while everyone knew he was a murderer, was itself a terrible punishment. He admitted his crime deserved retribution. He said karma would find him sooner or later. Punishment, he said, comes in many forms. In 2013, Sagawa suffered a cerebral hemorrhage. It permanently damaged his nervous system. Afterward, he required daily assistance. His brother or hospital caregivers had to look after him. During this time, he made a rare admission. He declared that he truly regretted his past. He confessed remorse for what he had done, but his health continued to decline. He eventually died of pneumonia complications. It happened at a hospital in Tokyo. The date was November 24, 2022. He was 73 years old at the time of his death. This is the full story of a disturbed killer. He was a bloodthirsty monster from Japan. Even after more than 40 years have passed, the name Sagawa still haunts people. It lingers in the minds of students in Paris. It also remains a dark memory for the Japanese public. What do you think about the punishment he received? Was the price he paid truly enough? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. I'm the Evidence Locker. What do you think about Issei Sagawa?